Why Arthur Morgan Needed Tuberculosis, a philosophical RDR2 video essay, an analysis of fate, death, and purification. Hello everyone, welcome to a new episode of Worlds and Archive. In this episode, directly connected to our previous video, we will examine what we believe to be the core element behind Arthur Morgan's awakening in Red Dead Redemption 2. From this point on, there will be heavy spoilers, so we strongly recommend watching this after finishing the game. As we claimed in our previous video, the biggest factor in Arthur Morgan's transformation is that death stops being an abstract idea and begins to physically approach him. In other words, tuberculosis. And the way this illness reaches Arthur is deeply ironic. During a mission where he goes to collect debt for Strauss, Arthur meets a man who is already a broken member of a family he is about to destroy. Arthur contracts tuberculosis through that man's spit. I don't know about you, but on my first playthrough, I wasn't gentle with that farmer at all. While the game does allow you to ask for the money more calmly, let's be honest, a man who kills people so easily asking for a debt politely wouldn't be very realistic either. At first glance, tuberculosis looks like a punishment. But in reality, for Arthur, this illness is a gift that pushes him toward awakening. Think about it. Lenny, Kieran, Sean, Hosea, they all die suddenly. Some of them don't even get a proper cutscene. At times, even burying the dead feels like a burden to some members of the gang. Arthur may appear more conscientious compared to the rest of the gang, but if you remember, if you are not playing honorably after Sean's death, Arthur talks about him as if he just died like anyone else, and that is deeply painful. From this, we understand one thing. These deaths are not what trigger Arthur's transformation. Yes, he feels sorrow depending on how you play, but he still can't say no to Dutch. He can run away with the people he loves. He can't keep them away from danger. So Arthur sees death even before illness, but not for himself. 1. Illness is not a punishment, but an awakening. Arthur's ability to say no to things he doesn't want or decisions he doesn't believe in becomes possible through tuberculosis. Yes, through it. By making him realize that the time is running out. Before the illness, Arthur continues living within crime, fully aware of it. Perhaps the reason he keeps going on is the belief that one day things will get better. If there is enough money, everything will be saved. But with tuberculosis, Arthur becomes more questioning. He slowly realizes that the gang has no such tomorrow, and he does what he can to improve the lives of those he loves, to open a path of salvation for them. Tuberculosis does not come to Arthur as a punishment. It holds up a mirror to him. It forces him to confront what he's done, and it offers him a chance at redemption. Two, the transformation of inner monologues. At the beginning of the game, Arthur suppresses his awareness of what's happening. His numbness increases, and he normalizes everything around him. But once he realizes his time is limited, this suppression becomes impossible. The voice of his inner consciousness grows louder. Arthur no longer asks, "Who was I?" Instead, he thinks, "What will happen to the people I love?" He thinks about how to protect them from inevitable collapse of the gang, even from approaching death. Here, Arthur's continued loyalty stands out. He is no longer indifferent. He focuses on fixing what he still can. 3. Arthur Morgan's awakening and moral clarity. Under the influence of illness, Arthur no longer makes excuses, neither to himself nor to Dodge. He stops hiding behind the outlaw order. He may have known before that Dodge's promises would never come true, but now he truly chooses to see. He begins asking the question, who will my actions harm from now on? And he is no longer a spectator watching his life from the outside. Four, illness equals loss of control. Now, let's look through another window. Arthur Morgan, as you know, is practically a tank. Machiavelli may arguably be stronger than Arthur, but the gang can barely survive without him. Arthur is like a fortress that does everything without question. But with the illness, this changes. The Arthur who could knock someone out with a single punch at the beginning of the game grows weaker, and the player feels that weakening. Weapons, physical strength, and fear, the only tools Arthur has ever known, are no longer enough. And Arthur learns this. Doing the right thing is possible even without strength. Maybe he will end up broke. Maybe he will end up powerless. Maybe his good deeds will lead him to death. But still he chooses goodness, like walking into death to save John and Abigail. Arthur is late, but he is not completely too late. He does not give advice. He does not defend an ideology. He simply listens to his consciousness and makes choices like any other human being. 5. The symbolic meaning of tuberculosis. Philosophically, tuberculosis is not a sudden death. It doesn't arrive like a bullet. It doesn't end everything in explosion. It comes slowly. It progresses quietly. First, it makes itself noticeable. Then it's denied. And finally, its inevitability is accepted. Arthur's body collapses piece by piece in this process. But the real destruction occurs not on the physical level, but on the moral and mental one. Because tuberculosis represents the one truth Arthur can no longer escape: time. This illness is a direct reflection of the outlaw order Arthur has lived within his entire life. That order doesn't collapse all at once either. It rots slowly. It falls apart from the inside. The van der Lingen, just like tuberculosis, is ignored at first, then believed to be under control, and finally realized to be beyond saving. Dike's ideals are the same. The phrase "one last cure" is like denying the first symptoms of the disease. Every new plan only accelerates the collapse. Arthur's cough is not just a symptom of illness. It is the sound of an ideology that no longer works. The outlaw romanticism struggling to breathe. At this point, tuberculosis stops being a symbol belonging only to Arthur's story. It becomes the disease of the American frontier myth itself. The Wild West is a dream built on the promise of freedom. But with modernization, railroads, industrialization, and state authority, that dream slowly dies, just like Arthur. Arthur is not a man of the new world, but he is also a figure who can no longer survive in the old one. The slowness of the illness represents the pain of the transition period. There is no era that ends suddenly, and no honorable closure. There is only exhaustion. And perhaps most importantly, TB does not turn Arthur into a passive victim. On the contrary, it gives him one last chance to be a subject. He can no longer change the world, but he can choose how he will leave his mark on it. As Arthur's body collapses, the moral foundation of an era collapses as well. But because of Arthur's choice, this collapse does not become completely meaningless. Final thoughts. Arthur Morgan's story does not tell us if you are good, you will be saved, or your past will be forgiven. Arthur's story is far more ruthless and just as honest. Some lives cannot be saved, some mistakes cannot be undone. Some awakenings only happen when the end is very close. Tuberculosis does not cleanse Arthur. It does not make him innocent. It does not justify him. But it gives him, for the first time, the right to truly choose. Arthur's redemption lies not in surviving, but in what he chooses while dying. That is why Arthur Morgan's story is not a story of victory. It's a tragedy, but a meaningful one. Because Arthur Morgan, while dying, cannot build a better world, but he proves that becoming a better person is possible. And sometimes that is the heaviest legacy one can leave behind. If you liked this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. More stories, analysis, and quiet tragedies await in the World's End archive. See you at the end of the road.